So usually when we approach that project, we usually look at it from the lot of discussion goes into the ROI part of implementing the tech, right? What is the kind of benefits we can get? What's the kind of return we can get? Very little of that conversation goes into adoption, challenges in adoption or change management that goes after the implementation. So there I found that, that becomes a really big problem once, the UAT is done and the rollout has been completed, because there is always a challenge involving the trust on the machine outputs, and building confidence on those outputs usually takes some amount of time. And in my experience, the quality of the machine output usually depends on the quality of the data. That's usually an underlooked portion of this equation. And we use challenges because the end users usually doesn't have the time or the expertise to dig deep and understand why the output is going wrong, right? Then this often leads to a generic conclusion that the tool is unreliable, and then parallel manual systems keep propping up to ensure business continuity, and KPIs has to be met, the business has to be run. So that building data discipline is definitely a key element over there. And another key learning that I had learned the hard way is that when you go for large scale transformation systems, it is always good to have an expert support team, right, during that adoption period, which could be a mix of business experts and the tool or technology experts who can help the users understand the root causes, the debugging, and help them build confidence over time. And the second thing I would say is a key element is top management buy-in is a 100% prerequisite when it comes to implementing transformation journeys. Because on processes like S&OP, where by design there are multiple functions involved, without CXO level buy-in, any systemic changes to stick would be extremely difficult. This is what my experience is.
Anish, how about you? You've also seen organizations at various stages of maturity, and you must have had teams where you had to drive change when implementing data or AI interventions for them. What has worked well while driving this kind of change?
Yeah, I think there are a couple of big areas, I would say, where uh, the transformation, really needs to be taken care of. Otherwise, a lot of these, bigger programs are typically are at risk. One of the things is, of course, the change management, but done both from a top-down and a bottoms-up approach. The top-down is more the leadership, calling out the vision, ensuring that, this will not lead to, any kind of personal layoffs or employees getting impacted, right? While this is more for the business, the teams have to be assured because they are the ones who will run it. On the ground level, I think there has to be a more involved participation between the business and the IT teams to say, and our typical philosophy there is, think big and start small. While your vision needs to be, bigger and holistic, but the steps that you take need to be incremental so that the business teams and everybody can see, yes, we are making progress in the right direction. And at the same time, it's not too long of a wait that while you're building the system, the market and the conditions have already changed, right? So those are, in my experience, some ways which really help, these larger transformation programs.
To build on what Anish has told, I see clearly a digital team has to come into picture, not the IT team. The moment IT comes, so they are not from the business side, and they drive the things to the old system. Whatever new system comes, they will always be able to say that the old system is able to give better output than the new system. Hence, I strongly, or rather we have done, is to get into a digital team who used to be a part of business, now leading the digital, and it has helped us to establish many things smoothly. Because it is a behavioral change. It is a behavioral change rather than a technological implementation.